This is we have to take off this portion of the standpipe. I'm going to loosen up this bracket for this EGR line right here, this coolant line. This has been EGR deleted, so that's why it's not here. It would be right in this area. Nothing too crazy. I tried ordering some of the O-rings from a local parts store. I went to O'Reilly, Napa, AutoZone. None of them had this O-ring, and there's another YouTuber who made a random video and uploaded it, and he utilized a 8x2 sized O-ring for this to replace this because he had the same leak, and just by a stroke of luck I found it. So I'm gonna make this video for any future Cummins owners and they're experiencing the same issue, because at first I thought I was gonna have to order a whole new standpipe line, because I thought that due to this being welded, this bracket right here, I thought that this was welded as well. So also there is a fix for this made by a company called Glacier Diesel. They make a barbed kit, and like the end piece hooks onto this flanged end of the standpipe right here and holds this on so it can't back off and cause this leak. So definitely look into that. It's called Glacier Diesel, and this is for 7.5 to 2012 6.7 Cummins. There's a different one for the year 13 and up Cummins, because this standpipe hose is completely different. And apparently there's another piece to it that's all, I believe, either forged, welded, or whatever, molded onto the standpipe. And if that leaks from any of those portions, you have to replace the entire standpipe, and that's very expensive apparently. So, which I already took out 4 bolts. This bolt up here for this EGR delete bracket was a 7x6, and the larger bolt and the back right here that goes to this block was a size 17 millimeter socket. So I'll be back. All right, so these bolts here for this bracket will be a half inch. Don't bust your knuckles. Probably would be smart too to pop the cap for your radiator. This vent line, this vent right here, this set screw is stuck. Somebody used red Loctite on this, so I'm gonna have to vent this another way. Save these. I got this little cheap magnetic parts tray from Harbor Freight. Really does wonders for keeping parts and everything. Might be easier too as well to do this if the intake wasn't in, but you know, sometimes we can't always get what we want. Careful not to drop any of this stuff. Hopefully the O-ring that I got will work as a replacement for, okay, that's nice and loose now. Will work as a replacement for this. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this apart now. Okay, see, not a whole lot of coolant's leaking out. Just a little bit, which is fine. I expected a lot more. The edge of this is a little tore up, but nothing too crazy. Personally, I think this O-ring probably just needed to be replaced. It looks worn. Definitely the heat got to it. The metal around this EGR line, this coolant line, looks fine too as well. Most likely it just over time, and of course Cummins, they vibrate a lot. This probably became loose and started to wear on here. So I'm gonna wipe this up and clean this up with a rag and remove this old O-ring real quick. I'm just gonna try and do a temp install. I'm waiting on that that barbed O-ring kit from Glacier Diesel to come in the mail. As well, yeah, it's almost like a wedding band sized O-ring. I'm gonna keep this just in case I do have to reuse it. The O-ring actually looks fine, believe it or not. Might just be a little dirty. It might just need to be resat on this coolant hose right here. Most likely that's just the vibration from these Cummins just cause a lot of components just to, you know, wear prematurely because they are super prone to vibrating a lot. For instance, like the water pump, which is down towards in the front part of the engine block, is prone to failure just due to like vibration. As well, they had a bad batch. I guess that was manufactured according to research I did online, but let's get to finishing this little O-ring install. So I got a bunch of random O-rings that I bought from one of the auto parts store because I couldn't find the right size at first until after I left and I didn't feel like going back. So we'll see. Maybe I'll end up reusing this one, maybe I won't. We're gonna try and use this O-ring real quick. It's probably gonna be too big. Yeah. Let's clean this up really good. Inside for any corrosion or anything like that. My finger feels okay. There's a little groove in there, but I don't think that's corrosion. I'll stick this in there and wipe it out. Clean it really good. Gonna have to use this old O-ring. Like I said, it seemed fine. Looks like it just needs to be sat in there like that. Guess over time this thing just vibrated so much and it became loose. So good thing I caught it early before doing any trips, which I wanted to do. I wanted to do some trips locally. Also, if you're going to order this barbed kit from Glacier Diesel and you live in California, they don't ship to Glacier Diesel. To California. Glacier Diesel does not ship to California for whatever reason. So I had to find them from a third party and order the same kit from a third-party website. Okay. All right. big boy in the back first. I'm gonna install these by hand first, and then kind of sucks. This is at like a real shitty angle. You can see I'm not really a big fan of it, but on the back side and underside, there's like that slight gap right there, which I don't know if it's due to routing of this EGR delete, which I didn't do. So I'm gonna try and hand install all of these first, all these bolts, and then I'll work on actually tightening them down. Okay. This is the 7/16 bolt that goes to the bracket for your transmission dipstick bracket. There's a little lock washer and a nut. And now when I squeeze this radiator tube, this hose that goes to the large hose that sits in front of the engine block to the radiator, with the radiator cap fully closed, there's no air or bubbling or sucking noises coming from this section right here from this standpipe hose. So I got that one in. Go ahead and install these other ones. Whatever reason, this middle one didn't have a lock washer, which is kind of weird. So I'm gonna go ahead and just install this anyway and probably get a lock washer for a later time. Okay. Which here is a lock washer. It's been kind of worn. This one was installed if I remember correctly with the bolt side coming through the bracket to the washer and nut on the intake side of this bracket. Probably would have helped if I took a picture of this before everything. Okay, I got that. I'm going to start by tightening the rear bolt on the bracket, and then I'm going to work my way forward. Like I said, this is a 17. Size 17 millimeter socket. I'm using a deep well. I removed the transmission dipstick just to get this little bit extra room, and I was scared of breaking the dipstick in case I had to really wrench on something. I'm just gonna do this good and tight, nothing crazy. Okay. And I'm gonna come forward and work on sorry, not going to move forward yet. I'm going to tighten the size 7/16 bolt that goes to the dipstick mount for your transmission. Oopsie. Make sure that's really tight. That doesn't come loose. Now, going to tighten these other bolts for this mount, which they are 1/2 inch bolts. So trying to make this thing as tight as possible to last a couple days until this kit comes in from Glacier Diesel. Apparently this guy is pretty awesome. He makes a bunch of delete kits, or used to. I found him on the Cummins forums from a couple years ago. So I was reading a bunch of posts, and he's the one who actually sorry, when I fiddle with this, recommended this kit to somebody who had a similar issue. So lo and behold, I'm here. Oh, don't want to hit that. Cool. So that's that. Give this a good push. Now I'm going to fire up the truck and see if this leaks at all. Get all my tools out of the way. Main reason why I wanted to make this video is in case anybody else had this similar issue and they couldn't find this coolant leak. All right, we're gonna fire up and we're gonna see if she's leaking or not. Really see the vibration on that side of the motor. The video actually kind of slows it down a little bit, but you can probably see how over time this would wiggle itself loose due to the vibration and come back and cause a premature leak. Not necessarily the O-ring being bad, but it's definitely good practice to change the O-ring every time you're going to do something like this. But that kit from Glacier Diesel completely eliminates this issue because there's a clamp that clamps onto the flanged portion of that coolant line right there. So, looking good so far. No leaks. Maybe I can play with the line a little bit and loosen up one of the lines or something to give it a little bit more room so it can mate properly better to that surface right there. But hey guys, thanks for if you're going to watch this video. Hopefully this might help some Cummins owners out there. If you guys have a random coolant leak and you don't know where it's from, thanks again. Have a great day.